Hello, everybody. In this week's episodes, first is Rush, where Chloe and Pete get the worm and screw with Clark and Lana's relationship. Then it's Prodigal, where Lex finds he has a baby bro, and that guy's a dick. This is the Smallville Chronicles.
Somebody save me, that you won't let us break right through. Somebody save me.
Hello again. I'm your co-host, Lou Gonzalez. Joining me as always, the wonderful and amazing Alan Muir.
Hello.
So these were a pair of things.
Yeah, they were certainly pieces of entertainment.
Yeah, I think these are the type of episodes when people are like, "Oh, that show is terrible," that they were talking about.
If we try to show these episodes to Connor McGraw, I think that these types of episodes are why he doesn't like the show or hates it.
Oh, especially this first one. It is.
Oh my god.
It's just so bad. And like there's like one little thing that's any sort of interest to the rest of the season, which is
Are you talking about Glasses Man?
Yeah, Dr. Glasses. I don't remember his name is. This was an episode I used the skip 10 seconds a lot. Dr. Frederick Walden. So this is his first of 3 appearances. He's the guy who looks at paintings.
He also ends up being the sort of big bad at the end of the season.
Oh god, yeah. But this episode is just terrible. So let's power through it.
Look, I've seen what's next. I know what's next for after these episodes, and I'm just so happy. So
yes,
it's sort of a big karma. Like we have to watch the good shit, or we have to watch the bad shit to get the good stuff.
Yeah, this is like the shit sorbet to cleanse our palates of good episodes to get to great episodes
to get back to Superman himself.
Yes. So this episode is Rush. Yes, the rave in the cave. For some reason in Smallville there's a rave, and Chloe and Pete, who are high school sophomores, go to it, and people are hooking up. Pete's like, "Oh, Clark is going to be pissed," and Chloe's like, "Oh, you shouldn't be such a dweeb." Some guy we've never met before, I don't believe.
No, he's just he only exists in this episode. He's never mentioned again.
I guess is Chloe's lab partner basically comes up and just lays one on her and is like, "I always liked you," and then he's being weird.
No, he's like, "You're the hottest. I gotta go." Jump off.
Yeah. Pete's like leaning by a wall. He go to inside wall cam, and then he gets bitten. And one of the 15 foreshadowing shots of the cave painting where it's a worm with an S on it.
Oh.
And said dweeby guy takes a nosedive off of the top of some sort of scaffolding. And Pete's just totally super cool with everything. I almost
forgot. This is the return of the motorbike. So it turns out he didn't sell it.
Oh, yeah, the dirt bike. Yeah. Oh, my God. I forgot about that. I did when I saw it. I was like, oh, there's that random dirt bike again. Which is actually where this jumps to, which is Pete's riding his dirt bike down the street, almost takes out some pedestrians. Clark is like, why don't you be careful? And Pete's just like, suck it, and drives away. And basically tells Clark that, Whitney's dead, so he should make his move on Lana now.
Yeah, and Clark's like, that's not cool, man. Whitney was your friend.
But then he goes and does it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Clark goes in.
Because Lana gives him one of her looks.
Yes. So Clark goes and asks Lana out. They're going to go out. From here, we see Clark is cleaning up the cave when Lex arrives. And Lex is basically like, why are you here? He's like, oh, I'm really interested. And he's like, I'm doing a turn paper. And then Lex goes into his backpack and pulls out the book for Dr. McGlasses.
Well, Clark mentions Kyla.
Yes. I think she gets mentioned twice in this episode because Pete mentions her too in the beginning. When Chloe's like, why does Clark have such a thing with these caves? And he's like, well, I think Kyla had like a real something on him.
Yeah.
So basically they leave and Lex says that he's firing his security. Chloe and Clark talk about Pete's strange behavior in the newspaper room. And Chloe says that Travis had a puncture mark on his neck and that 2 other kids also died who went to the rave and they also had weird behavior and puncture marks. So they think that it's Pete has that. Clark super speeds and finds that Pete is standing on top of, I think it's like a Jeep, like a yellow Jeep. And then he's like, oh, come over here. And Pete's like, all right. And jumps in front of a bus.
No, he sort of like walks over and just stands and just stops right in front. Like the bus isn't close yet. He just stops and just turns like a robot.
Oh yeah. Clark super speeds, saves him, and basically Pete's like, if you don't chill out, like I'm going to tell everybody your secret, which Clark does it, and Pete's like, he's an alien, and then runs away. Clark's like, I don't know, that dude's weird. Like nobody cares about what Pete's saying because Pete looks like a lunatic.
Yeah, it's one of those times where he really could just punch him, like smack him across just smack him across the head.
Oh yeah, his
Luke Cage
tap, yeah.
And just take him away.
Yeah. So Clark gets Chloe. They go back to the caves. Chloe decides to put her hand inside of a crack in between like ancient walls and gets pierced by something.
No,
her hand gets bit first.
No, she actually reaches in and there's all this goo.
Yeah, and then it looks like she acts like something bit her. But yeah, there's like alien level goo, like from the movie Aliens. There's like gooey. And then this is when Dr. McGlasses shows up with Lex, and he says that no one can have access to the cave, including Clark, because that's how he works. Clark goes to get Chloe, who's being rude to Dr. Glasses, and then she gets bit on the back of the neck, which, because she got bit by something, means that she has to take off her shoulder coverings and show that she is now horned up.
Yeah, she specifically says the words, and she says kiss. She basically tells Dr. Glasses to kiss her ass.
Mm-hmm.
And says
he tries to take her camera away, and she's like, take your own goddamn pictures.
Yeah.
All right, so Clark goes back to the loft. I think he also talks to his parent. He's talking to somebody, and they're like, I think it's his parents, that they called Pete's parents, and like they can't find him. So he goes to the loft, and Pete is there. He X-rays Pete and sees the parasite moving. Pete notices him X-ray and was like, dude, are you X-raying me? And then decides to open up the case that has the kryptonite and basically tells Clark to leave him alone. He knows how to beat him, and then he runs away again. And then back to the caves where Dr. McGlasses tells Lex that they found a bunch of parasites. They have one in a jar, and that they used liquid nitrogen to kill them all, but they have some live ones. And Lex tells him to send them to Cadmus Labs. Oh, man.
Which is funny because before we were recording this, I was watching an episode of Justice League Unlimited on the DC Universe app, and it was the Project Nazi formula or something that was being held by Cadmus. So,
I mean, that came out around the same time as this, right?
It came out in, I think, 2005.
And this is 2003, so that came out after this.
Yeah, but I still got Mike Rosenbaum as
Wally West, Flash.
Yeah.
Who he's great. He's great in that.
He's great in everything.
Mm-hmm. All right, so to finish out this terrible episode, we're going to power through this end. Basically, Clark goes to tell... he goes to tell Chloe at the Torch. She's hooking up with some guy. She makes fun of Clark about his date, and then he thinks that she's acting weird because that she's jealous. He asks her to help him find Pete. Then he goes to tell Lana that he has to cancel because Pete is sick. Then Pete and Chloe arrive, and Lana thinks Clark lied and gets upset. And Clark tries to take Pete to the hospital, but instead he puts red kryptonite in his pocket.
I just wanted to have to say it the way I think Martha or Jonathan say it. He slipped you a red meteor rock. It broke my mind.
Yeah, it's kind of like they roofied him to turn him into super douche.
Is that his name? Is that what we're calling him now? Whenever he's on?
Yeah. Apparently, like he goes by Cal, which I don't remember them ever referring to him as Cal. But I guess that's this personality. But he's just like super tool. So the three go back to the barn where Clark starts showing off his powers to Chloe. Lex interrupts them that the doctor won't let Clark in the caves. Clark tells him,
Clark says, I don't give a damn going in there whether you like it or not. There's nothing you can just stop me.
Yep. And then they leave in Pete's car while Clark and Chloe make out in the back seat. Pete's driving super fast. And then they go to the Talon and they
not that. Pete is checking out them making out like a pervert.
Yeah, it's all a bunch of weird stuff. And then they go play strip poker, and then Clark and Chloe hook up again. They're doing this at the Talon. Then when Chloe takes off his shirt, he kind of comes to normal.
Yeah, because we see the red meteor rock fall out of his pocket.
Yep. And Clark X-rays her, sees the worm, pushes her away basically. She gets mad and forcibly kisses him, and Lana walks in, of course, who then cries. And Clark...
Yeah, I think this is like just a big insult to her.
Yeah, because she's already like, oh, Clark, you lied to me, Pete's fine. Which I guess she finds out at the end that no, Clark was right. Pete was not fine. But still, it's all for the ending thing, which is still so terrible.
But I just want to talk about how funny it is. The scene where Clark gets kryptonite breast knocked to the face.
Oh yeah, that's right here. So yeah, they basically leave, and then Pete just like cracks him in the face, and he destroys like one of those newspaper things.
Oh my god!
Where you put like a quarter in or like 50 cents in, and you can get a newspaper out. It literally just like crumbles into nothing.
Yeah, and Chloe asks him what he's on to make him that strong, and he just like you just see his hand open up, or he just opens his hand up and you see the what looks like a potato with some kryptonite in it.
Oh, it definitely looks like a gray painted potato that they shoved some like rock candy into. It's pretty bad. And then this is basically where we get to the end. They go drive off. They're going to jump a cliff. Clark is woken up when Lana dumps water on him, and he's like, "Oh my god!"
That was the best part of the episode.
Yeah, she's like, "I don't know, I don't care, whatever," and then turns around like she's gonna have another word to say, and Clark's gone. They jump the cliff, and he catches the car he catches it with his hands, holding it over his head. It looks terrible as well. And they're just like, "Do it again, do it again."
I think maybe they were trying to go for that shot from Action 1.
Yeah, it's very like Thelma and Louise how they jump off, but yeah, I know what you mean. Where he's like having the car over his head, but he's like holding it, and it's a sports car, so it's very angular in the front. So
yeah,
he's like holding his two hands, and he's just holding like the front bumper, like balancing it over his head. So it just doesn't make any sense. But we go to the hospital. Clark is visiting Chloe. She says she doesn't remember anything about what happened,
and she says that she's officially made the wall. She herself has made the wall of weird.
Yeah.
Or what
she asked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she asked about seeing the thing inside her, and Clark said, "You don't want to see it." Lana shows up, and she doesn't want to talk to Clark, and they kind of leave. And basically, Chloe's like, "I feel like I should apologize to you," and she's like, "No." And she's like, "Oh, what happened with your date?" And she's like, "Oh, did it go that bad?" And he's like, "Yeah, I found him making out with another girl." And she's like, "Who?" And Lana does I didn't recognize her because Chloe was obviously under the influence of space worms.
Yeah.
And then we go to the quick, like, I don't even know why it's like a 2-second scene of basically Jonathan, Martha, and Clark are like talking about Pete knowing the secret, and Pete kind of comes in as like, "I could understand if you don't want to talk to me again." They're like, "Well, you're always part of our family," blah blah blah.
Yeah, that was a nice way to end it, because the rest of the episode was ludicrous.
Oh, absolutely. So then we go. Lex gets off the phone with Cadmus, and they find out that the parasite might be alien. So
In origin.
Yeah. And so they're wondering if the cave paintings will tell them what it was for, and that Clark is going to be allowed there because he thinks that Clark knows more about the caves than he's letting on.
Yeah, because Dr. Glasses, or Professor Glasses, whatever his official name is, says or asks, "What's your interest in the boy?"
Yes. So this is definitely where we're starting to see where like Lex is not just interested in being friends with Clark. He knows that there's something up. All right, and then our last scene is basically Clark going to apologize to Lana. He brings her rose and pizza. She basically asks him for answers. Like, "I know that like Chloe was under the thing, but what was the problem with you?" Which he doesn't answer. Which I don't know why he couldn't say like they drugged me.
Yeah, that would censors. The Parents Television Council.
Yeah. And basically he's like, "I don't know," and then he leaves, and then Lana throws the rose away, which is foreshadowed, which gets brought back up in the next episode. So this episode was really bad.
Do you want to say how I described it? The way the acting.
Oh no, go ahead.
I just said we were originally supposed to record this on a few days ago, and I was like, "Dude, this episode is so bad, Rising Caliber acting," and it's just, I hope whoever wrote this episode never got work again, because it was just terrible.
Yeah, there's just so many things that are just super bad in this episode. It's not entertaining, it's not interesting, and it's just a drag. I don't know. I kind of like, there's like not much to talk about. It's a terrible episode. The only thing of interest is Dr. Glasses. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So, but I think we can move on. Like, I'm not even going to do a best and worst. This whole episode's in the garbage. I guess Jonathan's doing the best because he's in like a scene, but yeah, this first one's pretty terrible. Second one is slightly better.
Yeah, we open up in Edge City. We
Yep.
finally got to see it.
So we're in Edge City. So this is episode 15 of season 2, 36 overall, and that's Prodigal. So we open up at an Edge City in a card game. People are speaking Chinese. Stuff goes wrong because somebody's cheating.
They find someone who's
it's his partner is like in the back room, and he has like cameras everywhere. So
cameras focusing on the people playing.
Yes,
and he's getting texts.
No, he's getting beeps.
Oh yeah, this episode.
Yeah, he's getting paged on his beeper. So they figure this out. There's a shootout. Our one white guy runs out, and Lex is in a car and is like, "Come with me if you want to live." And they decide to leave. And Lex introduces himself as his brother. So this new character we are introduced to is Lucas.
Character from like 5-6 episodes ago.
Yes, that we were alluded to. So the crazy woman that thought that Clark was her son, this is supposedly her actual son.
Yeah.
So we go back to the Talon, basically where we left off last episode. It's kind of the next morning. Clark brings in like the thing that says like help wanted. He notices the rose in the garbage and is basically like, I don't know, he can apply for a job and maybe he can like get Lana to forgive him.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't even notice the rose in the garbage.
Oh yeah, it's like there's like a shot and he looks down and he sees the rose in the garbage. There's also a lot of 10-second skips like I did in this episode too.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I made the foolish attempt to watch all the episodes in their entirety.
Oh god, I feel bad.
Well, no, it's fine. I don't remember much of the first episode.
Yeah. So Lana's basically like, I don't really think you should go. You're not really the most
dependable.
You're never dependable person. Chloe comes by later to get some coffee. She sees Clark's application and basically is like, Lana should hire him because it's like the best part of Chloe's day is bossing Clark around. Even though Clark is the most dependable, he's always there to do what's like important. But it's more like the kind of relationship-y garbage in this episode. So from here, Lex shows up at Lionel's office with Lucas and is basically like, hey, with his 10% since he's an heir, like, we're going to vote you out. And Lionel's like, oh, so you're staging a coup. That's why my investors aren't talking to me. And some jabs between the two of them. Those scenes are pretty good. Any of the scenes where Lucas isn't talking with Lionel and Lex are pretty good, except for I think the end. I don't mind him there.
Any scene where Lucas isn't talking in general is superb.
Yeah, he's pretty terrible. So we see Lex and Lucas drive to.
Yet he returned to this channel, or to the network, for a series that lasted 9 years, 10 years.
What show was he on?
Vampire Diaries.
Oh god, I never watched any of that, so I have no idea. That's hilarious, though. Is he the star of that show?
Him and Boone from Lost.
Oh, isn't there one guy like 40 in that show, and he's trying to play like someone way younger?
Yeah, he's like 10, 20 years too young, or too old for the part.
Yeah.
But he actually cut the makeup and everything, hides it really well.
Mm-hmm. So Lex and Lucas show up at the Kent farm where Pete and Clark are playing basketball, and Lex kind of just like ditches him there because he has to talk to his bank. And then this is where Lucas is being like super weird, but also kind of dropping some interesting ideas where like, oh, Clark, what if you were raised by Lionel? And what if Lex was raised by your parents?
Well,
we'll see a version of that.
It's more of a what if. It's more of a like an interesting opinion on
nature nurture.
Yeah,
but we do actually get to see a version of this later on in the series.
Yeah, we have to wait about like 8-9 seasons.
Yeah. So basically, we go. Lex storms into the Luthor mansion. Pete gives him a ride home, and he's basically like, "Oh, why'd you freeze all my accounts?"
You're forgetting the best part.
Oh yeah, Lucas goes to like elbow Clark and just like gets owned because Clark is Man of Steel.
Yeah,
and he basically says that it's like, "What do you have, like a steel plate in your jacket?" Which Clark is also back in his like season 1 outfit for these 2 episodes.
Which makes me wonder if they were shot
in season 1. Yeah, because he's wearing the tan jacket with the blue undershirt, not the the red jacket with the blue undershirt. Yeah, I noticed that on the first one, but yeah, it was weird. So we go back to the Luthor mansion. Lex has been, all his accounts have been frozen. Lionel drops knowledge that since he put up all of his assets to open Lex Corp, and then when Luthor Corp bought it, all the stuff now is owned by Lionel. And he basically tells Lex to take a walk, and then Lucas appears and is like, or Lex is like, oh, I got Lucas, and Lucas is basically like, do you? And walks around and then like stand next to Lionel behind the desk.
To imply that
They've teamed up.
Yeah, and I know it's this quote ends up being used, or the phrase ends up being used later on in the episode. But basically, while Lex has been playing checkers against Lionel's been playing chess in terms of the Cold War of assets and everything.
Oh yes, basically everything in this entire episode is a setup from Lionel from the jump. So Lex shows up on the Kent's doorways, basically like, I got nothing, can I stay here for a while? Clark and Martha kind of like,
Sort of basic pressure.
Yeah, they're not really sure about it. And then basically we cut to the next morning, and Lex is kind of doing farm work, and Jonathan thinks that's amusing. And Lex doesn't mind like doing it, and kind of just he gives a story about like some land that his mother owned that was like a farm.
Yeah, that he and her he would help. They would help farmhands, and that when his mother passed, Lionel sold it.
Yep, and Lex is determined to basically show that he
can pull his weight.
Yes. Lionel. We then go back to the mansion, and Lionel approaches Lucas about he basically offered him $10 million to sign over his shares, and Lucas basically says, yeah, I looked over a bunch of stuff. I think this actually starts with him playing Xbox on the big screen TV that he put in the middle of the room.
Yeah, he's playing, I think he's probably playing Project Gotham Racing, because it looks like the same thing that Clark was playing back
it was, I don't know, it looked like a Diablo-like game.
Oh, I know, yeah, it was. It wasn't Diablo, but it was definitely a hack and slash game.
Yeah. But basically, Lucas is like annoyed at him and basically tells him that he did research and he's worth like 100 times that.
No, 5. Like he was gonna pay. Lionel's gonna pay him $10,000, but it's worth 500 times that.
Yeah, he was gonna pay him $10 million, and it's worth.
Oh yeah, $10 million.
So 500 times that would be $5 billion.
Maybe Lucas isn't good at math.
But basically, Lucas is like, how come you never like contacted me before you were like when you knew about me after I turned 12, and like how come you like left me out there? And Lionel's like, well, things, I did the best I could for you. And then basically, like Lionel's annoyed, and Lucas is like, all right, I'll sign the thing, and he writes "bite me." Lionel notices it and is annoyed, which obviously reveals that he isn't blind.
No, not that moment, but when he takes one of the pull.
Oh yeah, afterwards. But like that's the kind of big moment, as like you're like, oh, he's reacting to something that he couldn't possibly know.
Yeah, and then he just Lucas takes one of the billiards
and chucks it at his head.
Yeah, and was it Lionel says something just that's
he's like, you could have killed me. He's like and then basically reveals like, oh, like there's no way you could have known that. That's why you ducked. You couldn't even hide your face when I signed it. And
he also mentions that
pouring the water.
No, when pouring the I forget what type of liquor it is.
Yeah, it was in the beginning of the episode when they first showed up. So he actually, when I remembered it, in every other episode, Lionel had been doing that, putting his finger in
to check.
Yeah, because the episode when the sheriff shot him, that he had done that.
And this episode, and he mentioned that blind people who are blind do that.
Yeah, and they put their finger in to feel when it's like high enough level.
And he says that when Lionel did it earlier, his finger was outside of the glass.
Yep. So it's an interesting scene, and Lionel basically takes off his glasses and admits it. And Lucas basically tells him he wants everything that was Lex's to be his and take all of it. To which we get to our next scene, which is Clark shows up at the Talon, and Lana's like, hey, you got the job. And then Lucas...
yeah, this is one of the many times that, like I said, the Talon is cursed.
Yep, Lucas shows up, and he's basically like, I own everything Lex owns, so this is mine. And it's kind of shitty about it. And then Clark leaves to tell Chloe, thank you, and ask her about Lucas, which she already knows some stuff. And basically, he had been in and out of foster homes, and he never got adopted. and he lived a hard life.
Yeah, and that and the Metropolis United Charities.
Yep, and it appeared 2 weeks ago.
Or no, it hadn't existed until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and Clark shows it to Lex, who realizes that Lionel wanted him to find it, and it was a setup from the get-go, all to like screw over Lex. Lex goes back to the mansion, confronts Lucas,
who turns into Wall Street bro.
Yes,
like he's got like financial TV, like financial channel turned on where it shows the stocks going.
Yes, it's ridiculous, and he has like giant speakers, and there's a bunch of stuff everywhere.
He's doing pull-ups.
Oh yes, it was very Arrow, like the pull-up.
No,
like the gyms. It wasn't the salamander thing. I think that's what it's called, but it looked like the way that they filmed it. Yeah, it was very similar to like the way they shot it, though.
Yeah,
and Lex basically tells him like, be aware, Lionel's games, and that he knows that he has friends that are looking for him in Edge City. Lucas goes to town because basically take out his frustrations on Clark because he's late for a shift. Tells Lana to fire him, and she won't. So he says, "I'll fire you too," and she says, "You can't." Well, he's like, "Well, I own a bunch of stuff. I'll figure it out, but I'm going to close this place down." And as he is leaving,
Lana ends up saying that Lex put it in the contract that he can't do it because of what happened with the porn star who tried to marry him.
Oh yes. So, but as Lucas is leaving, we see his partner from the beginning show up on a motorcycle with an Uzi. He starts shooting at Lucas, who's running away. Clark, of course, being Clark, like hip checks the motorcycle, then starts smacking bullets out of the air, which I actually thought was a pretty good scene of showing how his super speed works. And the last couple of bullets he can't reach, so he just
runs in front of.
Which, if he can get in front of them, couldn't he also have smacked them away as well?
Yeah, and the thing I was worried about, you can definitely see the smoke.
Oh yeah, his jacket is smoking and there's bullet holes in it.
How does Lucas not see? Like, how does Lucas not see that? Like, at least the smoke lines going up.
Maybe he's a little concussed from when Clark tackles him to the ground.
Yeah.
So that basically happens the next day.
You know this. Maybe whoever wrote this episode was thinking of Spider-Man, like not Spider-Man, like comic book Spider-Man, but Spider-Man like Raimi Spider-Man.
Okay. It's super goofy and it doesn't make any sense. And again, any scene that Lucas is in where he's talking is mostly terrible. So yeah. From here, we get another Lucas goes to visit Lionel, and Lionel's basically like, "What did you think was going to happen? You threw down the gauntlet," and basically knows everything that happened, which obviously because Lionel's the one that set it all up. Lucas wonders if it is Lex or if it's Lionel who wants him out of the picture. And then we go to the Talon, and Chloe basically says Lucas's killer was caught, and then Mysterio died by the police. Clark realizes obviously Lionel, and basically like hands Chloe the stuff and like bails on his job. And then we get one of the better scenes in this episode, which is Lex and Jonathan, when he basically tells Jonathan, like, "Thank you for letting me stay." And Jonathan's like, "I gave you every crap job I could think of, and you're always welcome here." And then Jonathan gets the nice CTE that it's again tracking how many times he's been, like, everyone's been hit in the head so many times between him and Pete and Lana. But Lucas, like, pistol whips Jonathan in the back of the head and kidnaps Lex. Right, from here, we go back to the mansion where Clark is talking to Lionel about the whole situation, and then Lionel dismisses it, and then Clark leaves, and then Lionel gets a call, and it's obviously Lucas saying that he wants Lionel to meet him in the Metropolis, which this is like the only part of the episode I really think was interesting.
Yeah.
And showing how smart Lucas actually is for like of a character. So Lionel shows up, and basically Lucas and says, like, "Why are you pointing a gun at him?" and plays for him to put it down. And Lex is like, "How do you know that he has a gun?" And then Lionel has to basically drop that act. While this is going on, Clark is like doing his best Die Hard.
If I'm not mistaken, doesn't Lex call Lionel like, "You twisted son of a bitch" or something?
Yes, he calls him a twisted son of a bitch. Like, why would you make people think you were blind? And Clark is climbing through the air vents. He's looking. I think first he sees that. I don't think he's actually there yet. But basically, Lucas is like, "No, I'm not going to shoot him. You are," throws Lionel a gun and points the gun at Lionel. And I think he kind of has him like in like a headlock or something. And that's when Clark X-rays sees that. Then he goes Die Hard again into the vents. At which point he vision.
Yeah, he uses the vision on Lucas's hand, or is it the gun?
I think it's the hand because he like grabs his hand, like he just kind of like gives him a like hot hand for a second.
Yeah, then he drops the gun. Lionel
Turns
pistol
his,
him, and then fires a few shots.
yeah. There are two guns though. So the gun that Lionel has is a revolver, and then Lucas had a Glock, like a pistol. So
Yeah.
Lionel shoots the revolver, and it's blanks, and Lucas is like, "Ha, you're an asshole." Blah blah blah, and then pulls out the other gun and like pulls out the clip, and it's empty as well. And basically set the whole thing up to see like because Lionel was like, no, I can't shoot my son. He refused to shoot Lex, but the moment it came down to it, he was easy to turn and shoot Lucas.
Yeah.
So Lucas,
and then Lex has some fun at that.
Yep. And basically, Lex is like the whole time is like, well, like, didn't you wonder why you never got adopted? And any time you got into trouble, someone like bailed you out. Did you think you were just lucky?
At the last minute?
Yeah. It's like it was an experiment that he did to try to see like what would happen.
Yeah, and there's also a good line by Lex or by Rosenbaum where he says the Luthor family gene pool is basically shark infested waters, and just got and Lionel chummed things up or added food.
Yeah, he like chummed the water.
Yeah.
So here's my one question: was Lex and Lucas in on the whole thing together?
I don't know.
Because like things are saying that they were, but I don't think so. Because if they were, why would Lex react like so surprised when Lionel could see? Because Lucas would have told him. So I don't think they were in on this whole thing together, but they are together at the end. And basically, Lucas is under Lex's protection. And
I've never heard from him again.
Yeah. And Lionel offers Lex's company back in exchange for keeping quiet about Lucas.
Or at the incident.
Yeah. And Lionel basically tells Lex that Lucas is a sociopath and he'll never be the brother that he wants. And then Lex basically goes like, which side of the family do you think he got that from?
Yeah. Considering that he got pistol whipped and attempted or nearly got murdered by his own father.
Yep. And then we end this episode with Clark goes back to Talon and basically Lana's closing up. She isn't mad, but she says she fired him and is basically like, you know, and Clark's like, I hope this doesn't change our relationship. And she basically gives there's no way for our relationship to really change at all. Basically saying like, because he won't kind of tell her what she want, like open himself up, their relationship can never be anything else besides being this weird, awkward friends.
Yeah.
And then Lex goes to the Kent house and to get the rest of his stuff and basically tells Clark that he's keeping Lucas safe. And they basically, the two of them talk about how their families are complicated. So, and that is where we end this episode. Oh, I do have the name of the video game he was playing. He was playing Genma Onimusha.
Wow.
Which I think is like a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah, Onimusha is very big. Well, it's sort of in between niche and well known.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least niche and known. So the politics between Lionel, Lucas, and Lex just saved the episode.
Sorry, I was just like reading up on some of like. There's really no super interesting factoids about this.
There is something that does happen though. Lionel noticed this is back when Lionel notices that there's melted steel or whatever the grate was.
Oh yes, he sees like the melted stuff. That is true.
So Clark is on watch.
Oh yeah, they basically reveal that because Lionel says like the line like, oh, you can learn a lot about people when they think that you're blind. It's crazy what they will get away with. They think they can get away with in front of your face. But yeah, so this is our first version of a Lionel bastard. Well,
Yeah.
We've heard about this character before, but we'll get another Lionel bastard and then more into Lex's true full brother later on in the series. Like way, way later on.
We actually get two Luthers in back-to-back seasons. But then again, seasons 7 and 8. So
Yep. So this episode is definitely not as bad as the first, but it is still pretty bad. I feel like it's pretty easy to say our LVP is Lucas.
MVP, Lex, and Lionel.
Yes. But again, it's like those two. Like anytime you get the two of them with prolonged time on the screen, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, I think that just about does it. Let's see. Our next two episodes are Fever
And Rosetta.
and Rosetta. So, Fever, we will see the return of Dr. Bryce, and basically Clark is sick, and then Rosetta is the amazing entrance of Christopher Reeve as Dr. Swan.
Yeah, I was watching a bit of it yesterday, I think.
So it'll be great for that to be our, even though we'll be a second podcast of 2019, it'll be the first one that we record in 2019. So it's a great way to kick off the new year. And hopefully we can scrounge up some guests. But besides that, you can check out all the things we do at
just something that I just want to say this because I found out about it. I just remembered it recently. 2019 will be the 15-year mark since, or it will have been 15 years since Christopher Reeve passed away.
Oh wow, I did not realize it was that long.
Yeah, he passed away in, I think, November or December of 2004.
Yeah, so we can talk more about the amazingness of Christopher Reeve in the next episode. And you can find everything we do at Phantom Zone, the Phantom Zone Facebook group, losharo.wordpress.com, also losharo.games.com.
My God, no one can get this right.
It's the games one is confusing because the regular one is losharo.wordpress.com.
No, it's all under one umbrella.
Okay, and then the games is under that.
Yeah, so it's basically everything's at losharo.wordpress.com.
Yes, so check out all the new podcasts. Me and Alan have another new podcast that just came out. We are checking out cartoons with our friend Garrett Gilmore. And you can check out Monster Mash as well as the Los Horror podcast, as well as Los Horror Games that Alan is co-host of.
Yeah, as of recording this episode, the most recent episode of Monster Mash went up with Hunter, Arlen, and I want to say Connor McGraw.
Yeah, I think they had a new one that came out just this week, so be sure to check that out. And more amazing things to come out this year. Their Los Horror is kicking ass, so we hope to continue to do that. Don't forget to check out Connor McGraw's podcast, The Movie Dumpster, and the main Phantom Zone podcast. And every Thursday, me and Alan co-host a show where we talk about comic books. So that will have a rotating guest list. And I have plenty to talk about because I bought lots of stuff for Christmas. So I think So I think that just about wraps us up for this episode. I'm Lou Gonzalez.
I'm Alan Muir.
And this podcast stands for Truth, Justice, and the American Way.